You're about to listen to Psychic Warfare by British trip-hop band Artichoke FM. They have a sound that's a bit otherworldly. The band claims all their music is coming to them from an old radio they found in the back rooms. So that might explain the otherworldly sound. This track, Psychic Warfare, comes from their latest album, Remote Polygraph. Check them out if you like early 90s inspired lo-fi sounds, study beats, ambient alien soundscapes, that kind of thing. You can find them on Spotify or go to their website at artichokefm.com. That's artichokefm.com. And you'll find links to their music as well as some trippy videos. But as promised, here's a little bit of a sample of their Psychic Warfare track. Take a listen.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my idol. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, welcome to the WWE Podcast. It is Sunday, the 14th of July, 2024, as we roll closer to SummerSlam, as we're now in the thick of summer and, trying to stick to something other than what you've probably seen on your news feeds over the last 24 hours with the chaos involving the attempted assassination of Trump and all that. So, obviously, that's clogging up your news feeds. That's not what we're going to talk about here. Maybe I'll make that my own separate podcast on my thoughts on that and what the heck's going on and what to expect. But that may be an after dark show that I do down the line. Maybe sometime this week if I can find the time. But for now, we're going to talk about all wrestling, right? All wall-to-wall wrestling. Otherwise, why would you listen to a wrestling podcast? So before we do that, I want to welcome you to the show and extend my personal invitation to you. I guess I don't know what other invitation I could extend, but I guess it's personal to you to join us over at Patreon if you want to go ad free and get everything without all those ads you heard at the beginning of the show. Number one complaint we get are the ads, but they keep the lights on, keep the show running, and they got to be done. So if you want to get rid of them, you can do that at Apple Podcasts and subscribe there, or you can go to our website, or you can go to patreon.com/WWE podcast. So let's get going here as we roll into SummerSlam season full throttle. Some big things happening, and we've got, namely, the Roman Reigns return reaching a fever pitch, which I've said for weeks, and it's at this point just kind of like, give it to me now. We're ready. And what I was a bit surprised about on SmackDown, while I thought it was a decent show overall and things did move forward in a cohesive manner, the mention of Roman Reigns by Solo Sikoa was a bit perplexing to me. I mean, he even called him out by name, and saying that if Roman does return, it's like, wait a minute, you just told Paul Heyman he's never coming back. To me, it's too direct of a return. A surprise return, if you want to even call it that anymore. I think Solo should have just not even mentioned Roman's name at all, and just kind of kept it on the DL, because we all know it's coming, but I don't want Solo's character to know it's coming. Do you know what I mean? So it feels like a little bit of the steam has been taken out of the Roman return because Solo, is now mentioning him by name. And so, I mean, again, it's not going to, I think, affect Roman Reigns long term. I mean, he's going to be the biggest babyface when he returns that the company has. I think even more so maybe than Cody Rhodes. So it's not going to hurt him. This is just not how I would do it, I guess. which, is always a subjective thing, right? But nonetheless, the Bloodline 2.0, Rogue Bloodline, whatever you call them, continue to wreak havoc, continue to destroy bodies, continue to beat down Randy Orton, continue to beat down now Cody Rhodes this week because Cody wouldn't acknowledge him as expected. So they beat down Cody and make him watch as they beat down Randy and then put Randy through a table. And they continue to put people through tables a la Roman Reigns' famous spot that he used to do. But now Paul Heyman's taken a power bomb. I think KO at one point did. Randy Orton did. Has Cody Rhodes taken one? I'm sure he has. So it's kind of their signature deal right now. And with the 4-on-2 numbers game, they have no chance, even if it is Cody and Randy who get a couple shots in, but never land the big blow to give them the ultimate advantage. So you have the numbers game, and you have heat continuing to build on the Bloodline, furthering the sentiment, furthering the need for Roman to return, and a return it will be. And I think, given that we now have the main event set for SummerSlam with Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa for the Undisputed Championship, that leads you to believe that it's probably at SummerSlam that Roman Reigns does return. And as I've said, I could imagine it happening in my mind of how I would do it, with Paul Heyman standing on stage, and maybe the Usos come out first and then Roman Reigns follows, and we get the reuniting of the OG Bloodline. But again, they're still down a member, so who's that final member to join them? We will see, because it'll be 4-on-3 if they don't. So I think that things are setting up nicely. I do expect it to be at SummerSlam with the Roman return, even if it is predictable. Really, who cares? It's one that needs to happen. It feels like Roman's been gone for 6 years, and it's easily his most anticipated return of his entire career right now. And yet he left in a manner that you said, thank God he's no longer champion, and now you want him back. It's just amazing how you can change a character without even having them appear on TV at all. It's quite remarkable. So that's an attribute to Paul Heyman, who's the kind of the connection back to Roman. He's been that bridge that has been burned, of course, with what Solo and his rogue men did to him a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown, and to Paul Heyman's epic performance, as we all remember. So there are things to look forward to with Roman, I think, at SummerSlam, and I don't expect Solo to win that championship. I think there's almost a 0% chance, because it's not time. Cody still needs time with that belt to really cement who and what he is in his legacy. We heard so much about this finishing the story that it's like, okay, well then what's next? And you get to finish this chapter, and now what? So we're finding out what that is right now, and from April to August is not long enough. You need, I think, a full year minimum to tell that story, and we'll see if they go that far. But at least through next April. WrestleMania 41, there's a good chance he loses it, not a great chance. And then after that, of course, all bets are off, and but that's a year from now. So also, Randy Orton continues to tease the fact that he might be coming for that championship from Cody sooner than later. I don't know exactly when or how he would strike. You would think maybe it is sooner, meaning in the next few months rather than, in other words, if I was to give you a range of 2 months to 12 months, I think it's closer to 2 months than 12 months that we see Randy Orton strike Cody Rhodes. Once he concludes this deal with the Bloodline, I don't know when that is, but whenever that is, I think Randy Orton is waiting in the wings to strike. And that's going to be fun. That's going to be a really fun rivalry to watch unfold, as I've said, over several weeks now, but they continue to tease it. And Randy and Cody is right there for the taking. And, Randy Orton hasn't really done a ton since he returned. And what I mean is, it's not that he hasn't been on TV or is always masterful in the ring, ageless in the ring, but they haven't really given him a storyline that is one-on-one, just an intriguing storyline with Randy Orton. They had it upon his return to face Roman Reigns one-on-one, remember? After an 18-month hiatus, Randy returns. He's going to face Roman Reigns. Daddy's back. Remember all that? And then they changed it into a triple threat or something. And it's like they kind of muddied the water, and they had a great story with Randy and Roman right there. And they added, I think, I forget who it was. Was it KO? Somebody into the mix. And it's like, bruh, you had it. And the idea was, well, we don't want Randy to lose off the bat. It's like, who cares? I mean, Randy can't be hurt. His character is bulletproof at this point. So is Roman's. We'll all be fine. But it's a great story to tell, and they didn't. So my point is, I think that will be Randy's real first legitimate program, probably since Edge. When the Edge storyline took place a few years ago during the pandemic era, and they had an amazing rivalry that is unfortunately done during the pandemic when no one was in the arena, and it was just, I mean, it's horrific. It's really a crime of epic proportions that rivalry happened primarily in front of no one. It's a crime. It's a crime. So I think really that's Randy Orton's deeper and deepest rivalry since that time when it happens. But of course, we're not here to talk about too much what's going to happen. Rather, let's talk about what did happen. And beyond Randy getting destroyed, Cody getting his ass beat, the tease between Randy and Cody and all that, you did get Logan Paul, or rather LA Knight, calling out Logan Paul. There's a contract that needs to be signed. LA Knight signed his half. Nick Aldis signed his piece. And now we're waiting on Logan Paul, who will probably show up next week and sign it. And that matchup's going to happen at SummerSlam. And it will. And the question is it time? Is it time, right? Is it time to have LA Knight win? Maybe. LA Knight has been a guy that when you look at his past and you look at when he ascended, it was right before Randy returned, before Punk returned. He was on fire. People were looking at him as possibly the guy to dethrone Roman. He didn't. And it went back into kind of a mid-card role for quite a while. And now he's back. Now he's back into a position of championship gold, although not the biggest championship in the game. A place that we thought he actually would be a year ago. But he's here now, and this is the first time that I think he has a real legitimate shot of winning singles gold in the company. And the question, though, is it time? Not that LA Knight isn't ready. Of course, he's 40 years old plus. Doesn't have a ton of time in front of him. A good 5-6 years if he wants to keep going. Logan Paul's got another 15 minimum if he wants to. But Logan Paul's also done an awesome job with that championship. Awesome. And, you wonder which they value more. Giving the fans finally something to celebrate with Knight, giving him the big victory, or continuing on the Logan Paul train. It's really a difficult decision to make. If it was anyone other than Logan Paul, I would say, yeah, LA Knight's got this locked away, and people are even saying that right now. I've heard so many predictions already that this is LA Knight's time. It's finally time for him to win. It's finally going to be an LA Knight victory. It's finally going to be championship gold for LA Knight. And I would be very weary of that choice, especially for those of you that bet on WWE, and I know many of you do. Be careful. This is not so easy to predict as you may assume with Logan Paul dropping the belt, because Logan Paul, every step of the way, has overachieved on the microphone, in the ring. We know what he can do. It's incredible. It's incredible. He continues to improve on the mic. He continues to improve just in presence. That X factor that we can't put words to, that just thing he has. He's got that. The dude has gone from being a Vine star, for those of you who remember Vine, the app, to YouTube, to boxing, to wrestling, everything he touches turns to dollars. He's got that ability, and now is it going to turn to gold? Is LA Knight is he going to drop the gold to LA Knight? Is LA Knight finally going to be the one to take it off of Logan Paul, who is, I guess, for many people, an absentee champion, but what Roman Reigns did over the past couple of years prior to Cody holding the belt, you look at it and you say, yeah, we've been through this. This ain't so bad. He's here every few weeks. We can deal with that. No biggie. We had a champion that was here every few months. Remember, guys? So, anyway, LA Knight, though, continues. If you listen this past week, gets big pops. Are they as big at his peak? No, but they're close. They're within striking distance that if you ever wanted to heat him up to that level again, to a championship, top championship level, that you could at any moment. The one thing I would say about Knight, if we're looking for ways to improve, give us more of who and what he is. And I feel like I asked for this, when he was actually the hottest, facing Roman for the belt, is I need to know who and what LA Knight is. What's his mission? Why is he here? Who is LA Knight? Beyond the catchphrases and the cute, witty comebacks, who is LA Knight? That, I think, will round him out. And boy, is he close. Again, I'm a fan sitting here, armchair quarterbacking, critiquing something that I've never done, but I have the right to, because I pay my money, I watch it, it's a public product, and so forth. So for those that are actually in the business, that I'm sure say, oh, he doesn't know what a polished performer looks like. What does he have any experience? Well, I don't need experience to comment on what I like and don't like, right? Just as you don't as fans. I think as fans, a lot of times we get crap from the industry, those within the industry sometimes that say, well, you don't know anything about it, so you can't comment on it. Oh, yeah. Are we not the ones lining your pockets? No, are we? Okay, we'll stop watching, right? Which we won't, because we're wrestling fans. But you understand the empty threats that I'm putting out there. But you know what? Back to LA Knight and refocusing here. Ultimately, do I think he wins? It's tough a few weeks out here. I mean, if you were to tell me if the match took place tomorrow night, I think LA Knight probably wins, but you could easily make a strong case for Logan Paul and everything he's done. You really can. So, but if you guys, by the way, if you want the full SmackDown review in detail, Amanda from the UK did an awesome job, as she does and she joined us just a few weeks ago and has done a great job every time. I'd really encourage you to go check her out over on the SmackDown review that drops every single Saturday morning. So check it out. If you want to go and give her some love, you can do that. And if you want to follow her on X, I know she'd appreciate it, at Amanda SD Pod. So give her a follow. Again, I know she'd absolutely love it. Amanda SD Pod. Let's get a little bit more of SmackDown, as Chelsea Green was wearing a neck brace and was doing the Chelsea Green bit of just being disgusted with everybody. And, she's there with Piper Niven, and, she's just doing her shtick of being this stuck-up, entitled, just awful character, but also has kind of threaded the needle in a way that makes you enjoy her. It's a weird dynamic. She's found this weird little kind of in-between place with herself, and it's kind of brilliant. And it's really, I think, more of a babyface character, despite her being obnoxious. I think it's very endearing, because she's not really that annoying that you want someone to beat her up. She's kind of sympathetic, because she's not really a threat. She's kind of just this lovable loser that has confidence until, the kitchen gets too hot, right? And she has to rely on help or luck to get her through. So, but all right, well, let's get into a little bit more. Again, the full SmackDown review from none other than Amanda you can check out. But we did have, let's see, Alicia Taylor, who is the poor man's version of Samantha Irvin. Let's be honest. I've already gone over what I feel about Alicia Taylor. We all know why she's there, most likely anyway, which sucks. All right, but you compare her to Samantha Irvin, and you just can't hold a candle to her. I mean, she's trying to be Samantha Irvin. You can just hear it, right? She's doing her Samantha Irvin impression, and it's like, it's fine if Samantha Irvin wasn't there. Like, I heard it on SmackDown. I remember her announcing the match or whatever she was saying, and I'm like, Samantha. I'm like, wait, no, that's not her. I'm like, who's trying to impersonate her? And you look at it, you're like, oh, okay, got it. Right. They're trying to create their Samantha Irvin over on SmackDown, and it ain't happening. Not happening. Samantha Irvin is one of a kind, and maybe the voice of this generation's ring announcing. Maybe more. Yeah, don't you wonder what Samantha Irvin, if she has other aspirations, what she'd want to do? I mean, right now she's in a great place with her ring announcing and everything else, and the fans love her. And, she's obviously talented, but don't you wonder, could she be on commentary at one point? Do they move her there if she's interested? Or do they keep her in a position that they know that she could succeed in for a long time? I mean, I'm curious. I'd love to ask her. I'd love to ask her what her aspirations are moving forward. Like, if you were presented with this opportunity, I'm sure she'd say, I'd like to just focus on the here and now. She probably wouldn't give me an answer. She'd give me a very political answer, which is a non-answer. But if you're employed by the company, you wouldn't want to say, I'm unhappy doing this. I'd love to do this. You don't say that publicly. You say it behind closed doors. So maybe my efforts of getting her to answer that question would be moot. But I'd love to know, if they have other plans for her. I remember, didn't they move Renee Young into commentary, which actually did not translate well? And it's not an easy job. Not saying it is. It's much different than backstage interviewing. But I do wonder if Samantha Irvin's skills may translate where Renee's didn't. And Renee is also, by the way, I love Renee. It just didn't work. It's a difficult job. People sometimes, you just sit there with a mic and you just call the match. No. Like, there's a zillion other things you got to navigate while you're doing that. But I don't know. Anyway, kind of a weird tangent there, but so we continue to tease the match between Stratton and Trish here. And, Stratton said Trish may have been the hometown host at Money in the Bank, but she was the real star. A Tiffy time chant broke out, so people are on board with Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton right now is, while she's on paper a heel, again, it doesn't really sound like it. So we'll see if that continues. Maybe they can kind of swim upstream and swim against the current, and maybe they win. We'll see, but I think that they need heels on SmackDown right now. Of course, when Charlotte returns, you can make her either one. I still prefer Charlotte as a heel too, but we had a lot of Tiffy time references. I think Tiffy time was mentioned like 8 times. But Bayley came out. So we finally get a little attention on Bayley. Hallelujah. And she said she came out to offer advice and assumed that Stratton didn't even know what WWE was in 2019, which is the last time Bayley won Money in the Bank. And Stratton asked if that was a million years ago. Not a great response. Kind of a lowbrow response. Like, no, Tiffy. That was like 5 years ago. Okay. If it was back in 2009, if you were able to go into the 2000s, that would have been kind of a clever response. Like, yeah, no one remembers that. But 2019 is not that. 5 years ago, guys. But whatever. Bayley then told Stratton if she plans to cash in on her, she'll be the first female winner to unsuccessfully cash in. That's when Nia Jax comes out and asks why Bayley was making empty threats and that she's going to take the belt from Bayley at SummerSlam, and she stood next to Stratton. And Bayley said it's not the NXT hugger Bayley. Well, first of all, it hasn't been in a long time. But anyway, Bayley said she's the Grand Slam and Royal Rumble winner, and that she will embarrass Jax at SummerSlam. Bayley then mentioned the possibility of Jax beating her and then questioned what Stratton would do. And Jax said Stratton is her personal Barbie doll. It's kind of is that not an insult? I don't know. Jax said that she would victimize Bayley at SummerSlam, and a brawl broke out. And then Michin came in with the kendo stick and even the odds. So we got another, by the way, an ad that we're making a big deal about Rhea Ripley opening up Raw, which is good. It should be a big deal because they got cut short last week. We got then Nia Jax versus Michin in 10 minutes. I thought it was a nice match. Michin had probably her best match that I can remember in recent memory. And we ended up, of course, Nia Jax winning. Nia Jax is the queen of the ring. She's also the one that's going to face Bayley at SummerSlam for the women's championship. So you have to have Nia Jax win. Michin doesn't have a ton of momentum here, but she had a nice match. And after the match, Bayley was beaten down by Jax until Stratton hit her from behind with the Money in the Bank briefcase. And then Stratton put Bayley down with a spine buster. And Bayley was vulnerable. And then she thought about cashing in. She was going to cash in. The referee was right there. And then Jax kind of caught her and she pretended that she wasn't going to cash in and just left. Weird. Hey, I mean, I know what they're trying to say here is that it would have been a betrayal of Jax and Tiffany if Tiffany was to cash in here. But why? Why would it have been a betrayal? In fact, wouldn't that have garnered trust between Stratton and Jax if Stratton was to cash in on Bayley there? You may be asking, well, how does that work? Well, number one, it would take the question that's in Nia Jax's mind away of, wait, even if I beat Bayley, Tiffany still got that briefcase. Could she cash in on me at SummerSlam while I'm vulnerable? It takes away that threat. And it also has Tiffany cash in on Bayley, not on her, in front of Nia. This is kind of weird that it would somehow be a violation of trust if Tiffany cashed in on Bayley right then and there, because, and number three, say Bayley lost right there. Say Tiffany cashed in on SmackDown. Tiffany wins the belt on SmackDown, in my hypothetical. Well, then Nia Jax still gets her chance at the Women's Championship at SummerSlam. So what's the big deal? Really, it's a win-win for Nia. You don't have to worry about being cashed in on, and you still get your opportunity at the Women's Championship at SummerSlam. What's the loss here again? What are you losing? Nothing. So it was kind of weird, but I know what they're going for, but you just take 2 seconds to scratch just a little bit beneath the surface, and you're like, well, wait a sec. Why is this a betrayal again? I don't understand how this is. Anyway, I had people on Twitter who said, trying to battle me on this. I'm like, guys, think about it. Think about it. All right. So Apollo Crews, Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin, I don't know what the hell they are. Maybe Apollo should go find that big giant silver Q-tip again. He seemed to be much more relevant when he had his accent, when he just adopted his native tongue, right? Maybe he should go back to that. Baron Corbin, I don't know if he's the lone wolf. I don't know if he's a bum. I don't know what if he's a constable. I don't know what he is. He's just Baron Corbin, who I think he's a baby face because he was slapping the fans' hands coming out to the ring. It looked like he was an NXT rookie trying to find an identity, doesn't it? It's like somehow Baron Corbin's gone back to square one. He's just kind of this guy that's there, that's got new music, but you don't really know how to feel about him. So he's trying to make friends with the fans. It's weird. It's like Baron Corbin's gone back to being a rookie. Of course, not his skill level. I think he's more skilled than people give him credit for. But it's just kind of like there's no identity for Baron, nor is there an identity for Apollo Crews. Both of them need to find who the hell they are at this point in their careers. They're just names. We don't know if they're good. We don't know if they're bad. We don't know what their motives are. We don't know if they're still any versions of their past selves. I don't know. But they teamed up here, and they faced Angel and Berto with Santos Escobar and Electro Lopez at ringside. And the match was 8 minutes with Angel and Berto beating Baron and Apollo in 8 minutes. So Legato continues to roll here, as you know, as they should have, because even though the name brand value of Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin is arguably higher than Angel and Berto, it's still right for this group to beat Baron and Apollo. I just don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. I don't know. So again, I hope Baron Corbin falls on hard times again. I need the ketchup stained shirt back. I need the depressed Baron Corbin. I need him to lose all his money for my own sick entertainment. All right. Oh, what else did we get? Again, I'm not going through all the little details of backstage stuff, but Blair Davenport versus Naomi. Naomi beats Blair Davenport in about 7.5 minutes. And that's, kind of that. I mean, Naomi had the out of being weary from Money in the Bank and an injured shoulder, but Davenport still took the loss. I don't understand that. But, all right. So we then have, let's see here. We got DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa taking on Grayson Waller and Austin Theory for the tag titles. This match was 8 minutes in which DIY defeated Waller and Theory to retain. And after the match, Theory was upset about being hit by Waller again. So then this is, of course, when we had the Bloodline come out and just start leveling Waller and Theory. And, that was kind of weird, but fine. They're just rogue. A more vicious, a more violent Bloodline, as Solo Sikoa put it. But the split of Theory and Waller continues to be told. They're in no rush, clearly, to split these two up yet. But that's obviously the way we're headed. I don't know when they're going to finally pull the trigger. So, well, that was on SmackDown. So quickly on the Raw side of things, if you do care about such things to be reminded, even though by the time you listen to this is a week old. So we got Punk and Seth, that whole segment that was very intriguing but awkward at the same time, that teased an eventual Seth and Punk rivalry down the road. It was fun. It was uncomfortable. There was a fake half-ass backhanded apology by Punk to Seth. And let's see here. So that lasted quite a while. We then got Jey Uso and Chad Gable, with Jey beating Chad Gable in 7 minutes. The Wyatt Six come out. They have their weekly VHS tape that they give to Michael Cole at ringside, and now Pat McAfee's back. We then got Bronson Reed and Pete Dunne, with Bronson Reed beating Pete Dunne in 7 minutes and 20 seconds. We had, let's see here, the Braun Strowman, R-Truth, and Miz versus Finn Balor, JD McDonough, and Carlito. This ended in 8 minutes with Finn, JD, and Carlito beating Braun, R-Truth, and The Miz. We had the Braun Breaker versus Dragunov match. That match ended with Dragunov beating Breaker by DQ in just under 11 minutes. And after the match, Sami Zayn runs out, clotheslines Breaker, but Breaker fought off Zayn into ringside, and then Dragunov fought off Breaker, who cut him off, and Breaker stood on the table and yelled and barked. And Cole said Breaker is dangerous and unpredictable and all those things. Which again, I think Braun Breaker still needs time to develop his character. In ring, he's not Goldberg. I know there's a lot of comparisons to him and Goldberg. He is not Goldberg in the ring. Far from it. He just needs a personality beyond destruction. And also, for love of God, give him entrance music that is listenable. I know he's a heel, but please. Again, he went from just bad to bad. It was a lateral move. So we got, let's see here, Damage Control, Io, Kairi Sane, and Dakota Kai versus Lyra Valkyria, Katana Chance, and Caden Carter. This match ended in 9 minutes, nearly 10 minutes, with Damage Control beating the team of Lyra, Katana, and Kaden. And after the match, Sonya, Shayna, and Zoe Stark hit the ring and attacked Damage Control. So Baszler and Deville, yes, Sonya Deville, held Sky while Stark said Sky cost her everything, and Stark threw a kick at Sky, and Stark tossed Sky into the air, and then Baszler hit her with a knee, and Deville hit her advocate move on Sky and then stood tall with Baszler and Stark. So a lot of heel on heel stuff here happening. But Sonya Deville, you know what? Not a fan of her on other levels. Personally, I'm not a big fan of Sonya Deville, but you can't deny I think she's better on the mic than people that most people recognize. And in the ring, I think she has really flourished as well, or did before she got injured and left and got injured again. And I think her breakout performance, if you remember, was Mandy Rose. Remember that whole storyline with Mandy Rose? I think it was during the pandemic era. And Mandy Rose and Otis and that whole love triangle, and Dolph Ziggler got involved, and Sonya Deville. Remember Sonya Deville attacked Mandy Rose? I don't know. This is just what I remember when I was like, whoa, where's this Sonya Deville been all my life? So, all right. We've got the McIntyre Punk rivalry thing that it came to Pierce saying, okay, maybe I can make this happen. If Drew wants to do business, Punk, you stay home next week. Drew, I'll invite you to Raw. Maybe we can get something handled, which really means SummerSlam match is official next week. It just is a matter of, is there a stipulation? I don't think this can be a straight up match. Typically you start with a straight up match, but this has already been escalated to level 9 out of 10. It's got to be in some kind of stipulation, no DQ, cage, something like that. It's a perfect for a Bad Blood match that's coming in October, if they can go that far. All right. Rey Mysterio, Zelina Vega versus Dom and Liv. This ended with Liv and Dom beating Rey and Zelina. And that's when Dom almost gave in as Rhea caught, so to speak, Dom on top of Liv as she jumped on him, and there was a mommy's back type of look, and Dom opened his arms for the hug, and Rhea just disregarded him and left the ring. It was all very rushed, which is a shame because it was such a highly anticipated moment for Rhea to return, and have a return in that moment was exactly how they should have done it, but they missed the segment by a good minute and a half in terms of timing and let it play out. Very rushed. No fault of Rhea, obviously, just a fault of, I don't know, time management, whoever's in charge of these matches. Whoever's in charge of really that particular match at the end, not giving it enough time to allow them to finish the match and have Rhea come out was really the mistake. So it all felt very rushed, which stunk, but it was still a significant moment. I think that they're going to try to make good on that on Raw Monday night, tonight, as you're probably listening to this. And we'll have to see what Rhea has to say. I would say this, and I said this on the Raw review show. I do not want this to turn into a Rhea versus Dom match. I don't want that to be the end game. That would be horrible. That would be a mistake. I know they're going to get to Rhea beating Dom down and him not retaliating because that's just what they do now, because the women just have this shield over them by simply being a woman. But if they do a match, an actual match, which I could see them doing, I think it's ill-advised. I think it's a bad idea. And I know a lot of people just don't talk about this. It's hush hush. We don't talk about it. Just enjoy the product. No, I'm not. I mean, there comes a limit, guys. We all know this is pro wrestling. We all know it's pro wrestling. We all know what it is. But there comes a limit where it's like, dude, yeah, like I can't watch this. If you're going to not allow the men to protect themselves and not retaliate simply because it's a woman attacking him, I mean, like, let's be real. It's it's a little bit over the top for me. We'll have to see how they treat it. I know I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but that's how they have essentially done the man and woman interactions over the last several years. slaps, kicks in the nuts, clotheslines. I mean, everyone just take it and deal with it because you can't touch me. I'm a woman. Neener. Like, I mean, where's the Attitude Era when you need it? The only one that was able to do it was Randy Orton hitting an RKO on Nia Jax a few years ago when she entered the Men's Royal Rumble. That's it. I mean, which I thoroughly enjoyed. But outside of that, there hasn't been much to be said. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But we all know that Rhea is eventually going to kick Dom in the nuts, which is, I think, the payoff, which I'm fine with. I mean, if Rhea wants to have like a night where you have the big payoff, Dom gets caught, Rhea kicks him in the nuts, is done with him and moves on to an actual story with a woman she can have matches with, fine. Probably Liv, obviously, right? Like she's going to chase Liv for that title, get everything back that was stolen from her. That's the story here. But a match with Dom is a bad idea. So I don't know. We'll see if they actually do it. I feel a bit 50-50 on it, so we'll have to see. But all right, we got a little extra time here. I want to extend this a little bit. If there's any other news here. Okay, well, here you go. This is from Wrestling Inc. Do like these guys are pretty good. So this is on when Roman Reigns is expected to return to WWE. Let's see. I'm trying to get to the crux of the debut here, or the return. So according to PW Insider Elite, a comeback for Reigns is not only in the cards, but isn't too far away. Those within WWE expect Reigns to be back in the company by SummerSlam, meaning there's reportedly a plan to have him return on an episode of SmackDown in the weeks leading to the PLE in Cleveland. At the time of this writing, there were only 3 shows left, so that he could return on either July 19th or July 26th. You know what? That may not be the worst idea in the world, because let's be honest, if you don't have Roman appear and it's, say, SummerSlam's tomorrow night, you kind of know for sure he's returning tomorrow night, you know? So it may not be bad to get the return out of the way and set up something a little bit more intriguing other than just Roman's coming back. It's like, okay, he's back. Now what? That may be a more intriguing question to answer. And maybe it's like, okay, Roman's back. What's he going to do? Is he going to be, an enforcer for Cody Rhodes? Is he going to hit Cody? Is he going to turn on Solo? Is Solo going to turn on him? It's like, instead of just, when is he coming back? It's what's he doing when he gets there? So I actually don't mind that idea. I think that's maybe an even better one. So cool. We could have Roman Reigns next week. Could. All right. So I'm kind of handpicking some stories here that they have. Jim Ross continues to have surgeries. Jim Ross has had a hell of, some health issues. I mean, he had skin cancer. Let's see here. He just wrote on July 13th, wrist surgery successfully done. Healing continues. And so, yeah. And also just weeks ago, JR was in the ER. For an overnight stay after he had shortness of breath, but returned to the broadcast booth. And then JR managed to make the trip to Long Island for June's Forbidden Door event, where he called some of the headlining matches. There's no word on whether JR will be in attendance for AEW's next PL pay-per-view, which will be at Wembley Stadium at the end of August. So JR continues to have some just kind of random, seemingly unconnected health issues. I mean, he is 70-something years old. I mean, the guy is not a spring chicken. So he's just having weird thing after weird thing. So we wish JR the best, no doubt. Let me handpick another message. Let's see, story here. I talked about Joe Hendry a little bit earlier in the week, and I continue to be intrigued by his character. Am I a bandwagoner? You're damn right, and I don't care. If I'm a bandwagon fan, you know what? I would argue that most people that come out of nowhere and become successful are supported by bandwagon fans. You know, I don't think you don't get any special prize for being the person that is the OG. Oh, I followed him in the independents and before anyone even knew who he was, and you're just jumping on the bandwagon. I'd be like, all right, well, I'm sorry. Do you get a prize? Do you get some kind of compensation for being a fan before people knew who the hell this person was? You know, I feel like some fans want special treatment as if they are a better fan, a more real fan, if they are fans of the person before anyone knows who they are. I understand it's fun following the person as they continue to grow and get into NXT maybe and signed by WWE and go to the main roster and all that. But it's almost as if they feel they have some kind of special privilege that they knew that person before anyone else did. I don't know what they think they've earned other than just, okay, yeah, you follow that person. You may have a little more wrestling knowledge than I do. But anyway, I don't know who the hell I'm talking to. There's really no one specifically I have in mind, but I just wanted to say that because I'm sure we've all run into that in our pro wrestling fandom. There was someone on SmackDown. While I'm thinking about it, who was it? I can't remember who it was, guys. So you guys are going to have to help me on this one. I have a homework assignment for y'all. Maybe I'll think of it as I'm talking about it. Somebody on SmackDown said that they just were signed by WWE. Like they just came. The way that they phrased them coming up to the main roster was as if they had just come to the company. There was something said on SmackDown, and it was a male wrestler, and the way they phrased it, it's like, oh, I've only been in the company for whatever X number of days or weeks or whatever, and I'm sitting there going, no, what are you talking about? You were in NXT. Who was that? I don't. My mind's going blank, guys. I need your help. But I remember sitting there thinking, like, wait a minute, does NXT not exist? Are you just completely going to ignore the fact that you have a total other brand that you were on before you came here? I don't know. Maybe, am I making this up? Maybe it could be in my head. I have to do that a lot too. But, all right, I think I'll conclude there. A lot of other stories too coming up and trying to get you off of all the other craziness happening in the world and everything else that's, I mean, it's just going to get crazier, guys. As we head up into the election, even beyond the election, it's going to get wild, So we can hopefully provide you with some, time to get your mind off of that, get your mind into stuff that really doesn't matter, and it's just fun to discuss, and it's an escape from all the issues you may be having. I know some of you listen to us at work, some of you listen to us on the way to work, some of you listen to us probably while you're sitting on the toilet. Don't we all? You get a lot done on the toilet sometimes. You scroll, you post, you tweet. Anyway, all right, things are going off the rails, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back tomorrow. There'll probably be a rehash of a older show that we've done. And then Tuesday's the Raw review. So stay tuned for that. Consider going ad-free at patreon.com/WWE podcast and go to, if you want, Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Spotify does offer ad-free as well. So check us out there. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.